The Sathya to SAI program is about the early years of Bhagwan's life, when he was known as young Sathya. This program allows us to experience how Bhagwan, as a very embodiment of the Absolute, engages in a divine play with his devotees at the human level. This provides us with amazing insights and practical spiritual tools for self-transformation. We will also understand the power of his quote, "My life is my message," as we become aware of the spirit behind every action of his. This will fill us with valuable gems of wisdom. Dear brothers and sisters, this session will give us an elevating experience of a virtual satsang with Bhagwan. Come join us on this exciting journey on 31st of October with an open heart and a receptive mind. With His divine grace, we will leave the session enriched with simple, practical tools for an uplifting spiritual life.
Chapter 17. Manava Seva is Madhava Seva. Service to man is service to God. Service is the most difficult of the 9 steps to inner reality. It is basically action arising out of the yearning to win the grace of God. It is the most important step to erase ego. Through service alone can man attain mastery of senses, the passions and predilections, and through that reach divinity itself. I have come to teach you the proper attitude of service, for love expresses as service, and God is love. Service to man leads to the discovery of man as God. Baba. Swami addressed a huge gathering of his devotees who were anxiously planning to celebrate Bhagavan's 60th birthday on a grand scale. He said, "Spirituality has no meaning to a person suffering from hunger. To the hunger-stricken, bring God in the form of food. To the distressed and distracted, in the form of peace. To the sick, as medicine, and to the afflicted, a remedy for the affliction. Only thus can spirituality enter one's heart. Anything done otherwise produces agnostics and atheists instead of believers. Before you celebrate my 60th birthday, adopt at least 6,000 villages and transform them into ideal villages. The spiritual benefit deriving from japa, silent repetition of a mantra, tapas, penance, yagna, oblation, and yaga, religious sacrifice, will accrue from divine love alone. And of all the means to attain divine love, seva, service to mankind, is unrivaled. You must grasp the essentiality of my prema tattva, love. Whatever Sai does or thinks or says or sees, it is entirely for your sake and not for Sai's sake. I have no happiness of my own. Your happiness is my happiness. I have no desires whatsoever. You may think Sai is doing this or doing that. Nothing is for myself. Everything is for you. Believe it or not a paisa is being spent for me. Whatever is being done is for society. For 56 years now, not even a paisa has been spent for getting a single shirt made for me. I wear only those clothes that loving devotees offer to me. The shirt I'm wearing at this moment has been given by a student, Radha Krishna. The thought that I want something for myself never occurred to me, nor does it occur now. Such a thought will never come to my mind in future too. Whatever I will, it is for the welfare of the world. Understand this clearly. Develop enthusiasm in various programs and activities and actively participate in social service. It is important that you carry out Swami's ideals and activities more particularly in villages than in towns. Minimize your own expenses and utilize maximum amounts on providing facilities needed by villagers. If facilities are adequately provided in every village, Bharatiya Tattva, Indian ethos, and Bharatiya Samskriti, Indian culture, will effectively reach one and all. Oh, embodiments of divine self, Divya Atma Swarupa Lara. You may not be able to see, but I see everything as scenes moving before my eyes. The very same persons who are today unable to understand Swami's Tattva are destined to experience it in tears sometime in future. The Sai Tattva or Sai philosophy is very shortly going to spread throughout the world. Swami is himself holding it back tightly, but once it is let loose, it permeates the entire world like an irresistible force. The world will be transformed into Prasanti Nilayam. Realize the essentiality of Swami and come forward to implement Swami's ideals. You will get no such opportunities later. You will not find it possible to get so close to Swami. Millions and millions of people will rush here. Those days are coming very soon. So from this day onwards, try to earn Swami's love and compassion and fulfill your lives by taking up suitable activities in the service of the mankind.
Take one step towards me, I'll take 100 towards you. This was a time when there were severe problems in Bosnia and hundreds of thousands of refugees were sheltered in specially built camps who were waiting return of peace. A Bosnian woman, an ardent devotee of Baba, felt in her duty to do some service to the unfortunate refugees. She carried baskets of bread and packets of biscuits in her van over the long distance and distributed them in the camps. She also gave each of them a packet of vibhuti and a photograph of Swami. While eating, they were looking at Swami's photograph and talking among themselves in their own language. She could not follow what they talked to each other. She was inquisitive to know in particular what they said while looking at Swami's image. She therefore sought help from the driver of the van. He went to them and returned after a while. He told her that they were saying to each other, "This man in the picture has been giving us bread and biscuits every day. But today, apparently, he gave them to her and asked her to distribute them." She was very much surprised to hear these words. In a meeting held during the summer training classes in Vrindavan in 1996, that Bosnian woman was permitted by Swami to speak. She narrated the above incident and added, "If we take one step forward for doing good, Swami will be there ahead of us all the time."
Hanuman and Vibhishan in discourse. Vanaras of Ramayana were born as monkeys. Nevertheless, they served God as humble servants and gained relief from the cycle of birth and death, having been blessed with the good fortune of seeing God in their midst. Human beings are by no means inferior to Vanaras. Why then do they not devote their lives to worship of God and meditation? It is not enough to remember Smaran God. One should enter heart and soul into divine activity. Hanuman and Vibhishan became good friends. One day, Vibhishan approached Hanuman in a great distress and said, Hanuman, how fortunate are you! Every day you do smaran of Lord Rama and have fully earned Lord Rama's grace. No doubt, I too have been doing smarana of Sri Ram for a long time, but I am not blessed with the opportunity of seeing Lord Sri Ram. Hanuman explained the position. You are no doubt doing smaran of Sri Ram, but did you ever participate in Sri Ram's activities? How can you earn Sri Ram's grace without doing that? It is now a full 10 months since Devi Sita has been in Lanka. Did you ever console her or try to alleviate her sufferings? Did you meet her and have her darshan even once? Did you ever think of some way to relieve her agony? If you had done any of these, it would have amounted to service of Lord Rama. You have failed to avail of the fine opportunity that has come your way. As for me, I have dedicated my life to Sri Rama, chanting Sri Rama's name and with my mouth and doing Lord Rama's work with my hands. While describing the above discourse between the two devotees of Lord Rama, Bhagwan Sri Sathya Sai concluded, therefore, our conduct should always be Ram in the heart, Kam in the hand, Dil mein Ram, Haath mein Kam. Life dedicated to these two principles is truly fulfilled, Sarthak. Bhagwan Baba once said, you are not doing service for others, you are doing it for yourself to the God in you, the God who is equally present in others.
Service leads to heaven. Bhagwan Sri Sathya Sai Baba attaches immense value to willing and selfless service. In fact, he declared that it is the most supreme of all spiritual efforts, sadhana. He said, many distressed persons flock to Prashanti Nilayam having lost their peace of mind due to various problems. Among them are some persons who are bodily and mentally ill. My job is to treat everyone. While the doctor finishes the principal treatment, nurses, compounders and attenders take over and do the rest of the job. In the same way, I am providing you, volunteers, opportunities for service. Na karmana, na prajaya, dhanena, tyaganekana, amrutatva manashaha. Neither spiritual deeds, as ordained by scriptures, not begetting worthy offspring, nor earning wealth, will confer relief from the cycle of birth and death. Sacrifice alone can bring immortality, amritatva. This is the truth proclaimed by the Vedas. Mental readiness to do sacrifice, tyaga buddhi, coupled with absolute selflessness should mark one's service. That is the only highway to reach Paramapada, God's abode. Service, seva, occupies the most exalted position amongst all kinds of sadhana. God himself has incarnated in human form to serve mankind through resuscitation of dharma. And he is undertaking numerous programs of service. In such a situation, if man too comes forward to dedicate himself to selfless service, there can be no doubt that God's grace will be assured. It is not necessary that service should be confined only to the pressings of Prashanti Nilayam. Serve the suffering, the poor and the needy wherever you find them, in your village or the place to which you go on a pilgrimage, or anywhere else, and at any time. Normally, water by itself costs nothing, but combined with milk, the same water gains in value. In the same manner, if you add a bit of your service to any of the holy activities of Swami, your contribution acquires greater weight and significance. Once Lord Sri Krishna asked his poet-saint devotee, Surdas, what would he desire to have? And he quickly added, leave it. Will you agree to be my servitor? Surdas humbly replied, Krishna, if I become your servant, it may generate ego in me. Moreover, what service can I do to you? There are innumerable persons who possess the necessary devotion, ability, competence, and also facilities for doing service to you. However, any number of your lowly servitors are there who themselves need succor and help. Bless me with the good fortune of serving such unfortunate persons. If you would like to please me and satisfy me, you need only to see me in every loving being. Serve all living beings as you would serve me and worship me. That alone is the most appropriate procedure of worship. That alone is the holy path that brings you to me.
Maintain spirituality throughout life. Speaking to students in Kodaikanal, Bhagwan Baba once narrated a delightful parable which was as amusing as it was profound. Once, all vegetables in the world entered into a dispute about which of them was the greatest. Unable to come to an agreement, they prayed to Lord Brahma, Lord Sri Mahavishnu, and Lord Maheshwara to intercede and decide. Responding to their prayers, the three gods came down to earth. They heard every vegetable with all sympathy, patience, and understanding that the sensitive issue deserved. Finally, they decided that a particular vegetable was the greatest. What is that? The humble onion. All other vegetables were astounded. Each of them possessed admirable qualities. How could these gods decide that onion was the greatest? Sensing their grievance, the gods spoke up. They said, "There is no doubt that all of you possess commendable qualities, but onion has one additional and special trait which none of you can boast of. That is, to retain the same smell unchanged throughout life. That is why we have decided in its favor. Be like the onion, whether you are happy or unhappy, comfortable or suffering. Never abandon your trait of being devoted to God." This explanation satisfied all the aggrieved vegetables. Softly stroking his beard, Lord Brahma wished the winner, "As long as I exist, may you possess a beard like me." If you look closely to an onion, you will find a thin beard adorning it. Lord Vishnu blessed the onion. "Cut vertically, you will display one of my insignia, the shankh shell. Cut horizontally, you will reveal another of my insignia, the chakra disc. Cut an onion and you will notice this." Lord Shiva blessed it. "I will give you a guarantee. Anyone trying to harm you is condemned to shed tears. This too is well within the experience of everybody." This simple tale of the humble vegetable conveys a profound truth. A person who possesses staunch, unwavering devotion to God is supreme. He will be righteous. He will be blessed with God's grace. Nobody can cause harm to him. Om Shri Sathya Sai Prabhrahmane Nama. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. End of chapter 17.
Chapter 18. Dear to the deprived and near to the needy. Difficulties are created to increase the yearning and to sift the sincere devotee from the rest. Baba. Adversity brings God closer. In Sri Mahabharat, the Pandavas completed their exile in the forests and safely returned home. Kunti Devi, their mother, was overjoyed. In gratitude, she bowed and offered salutations to Lord Krishna. He said, "My dear aunt, is there anything more you want? I will grant it." She answered humbly, "O Lord Krishna, it was only because my sons were undergoing unbearable hardships in the forests and living on roots and tubers. You were constantly with them and guarding them. Similarly, I can earn your support and protection, your sweet and intimate love, your proximity, only when I have been in difficult times. So I pray to you to grant me only hardships all the time." A similar incident connected to Sri Sathya Sai's life is worth recalling. Swami decided that in one particular year, summer classes would be held in Ooty and took all the students there. When the classes ended and just before setting out for Bangalore, he told them, "As you have come all the way to Ooty, go for sightseeing, look around and enjoy all the beauty in God's creation." The students insisted that Swami should accompany them. Otherwise, they said they too would not go. Their idea was to get themselves photographed along with Swami in the scenic surroundings. Swami agreed and arranged bus transport to go to Doda Beta, a fine spot situated 8,000 feet above sea level. He told the boys to go ahead and arrange to take photographs and that he would join them there soon. Sometime after they left, Swami left Nandanavanam for Doda Beta by car. After his departure, two young men came to Nandanavanam to see him. On learning that Swami was on his way to Doda Beta, they too left for Doda Beta on motorcycle. In their anxiety to reach and in fact overtake Swami's car, they drove at high speed. Persons traveling with Swami in his car wondered, "Who are these boys? They are driving too fast. They must be rowdies." Baba corrected them. No, you should not rush to conclusions without knowing the facts. They are eager to have my darshan. At a turn on the road, the young men on the motorcycle came too close to Swami's car at a high speed. They lost control and fell down. Immediately Swami had his car stopped. He went to them and wiped the dust and dirt off their bodies and gently reprimanded them. "My dear boys, are you hurt? Why are you driving at high speed? You should not do such rash things. If you wanted to see Swami, you could have come to Nandanavanam." The boys replied, "Swami, we very much wanted to see you. Now that we met with this mishap, we have got not only your darshan, but also your sparshan, touch, and sambhashan too, conversation. If we had not fallen off like this, you would not have come so close to us. You would not have patted us on our heads so affectionately, and you would not have talked to us with such sweet intimacy. So Swami, even if you give us any amount of hardship and adversity, grant us also your darshan, sparshan and sambhashan. In order to receive the bliss of this kind, we will be prepared to undergo any amount of suffering." After narrating this touching tale of love and compassion, Bhagwan Baba said, "God does not bestow as much closeness and love when you are comfortable and enjoying life as when you are in trouble and suffering the pangs of adversity. In God's view of things, both suffering and happiness are equal. Those who love God with all their heart and soul will have no desires. There are any number of people who are ruined for lack of sincere faith, but there is not a single believer abandoned by God. None whatsoever."
I too fear her. Once morning, women devotees were entering the audience hall in Prashanti Nilayam to have darshan of Swami. They were observing due silence and were also walking in orderly lines. But a lady volunteer at the entrance was curt and rude in her manners and was using somewhat impolite words while trying to hustle them inside. Many women felt bad about her behavior. One of them was very much upset. While she came to Prashanti Nilayam to attend mental tranquility, she thought this insensate volunteer was causing more unrest in her mind. She decided to inform Swami accordingly. To her good fortune, Bhagwan Baba gave an interview to her along with some women devotees. She could have utilized that sublime opportunity to raise her personal issues with Swami. Instead, she chose to ventilate her grievance at the inappropriate conduct of the volunteer at the entrance. As soon as she set foot in the interview room, she burst out, "Swami, Did you notice that volunteer on the women's side who is talking too much and using harsh words? She is disturbing our peace of mind even in this holy place. Why did you have that volunteer posted on duty at the entrance, Swami? As he heard this tirade, Swami, who was seated on his throne, bent slightly forward and said to her, Bangaru, I will let you know a secret. I too fear her. The devotee was surprised but delighted and went into peals of laughter on hearing Baba's well kept secret. The whole room was filled with laughter. Here is a meaningful spiritual lesson given by Bhagwan Sri Sathya Sai to his devotees. He did not dismiss that volunteer in anger for her rough conduct. At the same time, with a simple, soothing word, he swept away the grievance of this genuinely hurt devotee and pacified her with his humor and love. Baba thus exhorts all his devotees, if you too face any problem or difficulty in life and get upset, recall my sweet words and jovial conversation and delight in them. Thereby, you will be able to forget your grief or hurt more easily. Often did that devotee receive rough treatment again at the hands of the same volunteer at the entrance of the audience hall, but she could bear it with equanimity by simply recalling the sweet, disarming, and frolicsome words of Swami and happily laughing within herself. Whenever you are troubled by life's problem, recollect Swami's divine discourses, exhortations, parables, and tales. Your troubles will be swept away like dark clouds driven away by wind. This incarnation in human form of the eternal, universal, supreme reality, the personification of truth, awareness and bliss, the embodiment of unbounded compassion, Bhagwan Sri Sathya Sai is showering divine bliss, Ananda, on humanity and enabling mankind to easily cross the difficult to cross ocean of birth and death.
9 types of bhakti. According to Sri Mahabhagavata, Shravan or hearing, Kirtan or singing praises, Smaran or remembering, Padasevan touching feet, Vandana or salutation, Archana or worshipping, Dasya or serving, Sakhya or friendship, and Atmanivedan or surrender are the 9 types of devotion to God. These are like steps that lead by stages to reach and merge with God. Let us consider an illustration that holds a mirror, as it were, to the experience of hundreds of thousands of devotees visiting Prashanti Nilayam. First of all, we hear quite a lot about Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai. We hear that Sri Sathya Sai stays in the holy place of Puttaparthi in the Anantapur district, that he gives public audience morning and evening every day in the audience hall in Prashanti Nilayam, that he is clothed in a long robe of red color, that he wears a distinctive crown of black hair, and that he presents a magnetic divine vision to the onlooker. We also hear that the very sight of Bhagavan gives indescribable happiness and that he can relieve every suffering by a mere touch or word. We hear that he can materialize any and everything by a mere movement of his divine hand, and that he can cure any disease by his mere will. We hear hundreds of such experiences from all sides. This is the first stage, Shravan or hearing. Back home, the whole household will gather together and exchange notes and experiences. Have you heard this? Have you also heard about this miracle? This wonder? Sri Sathya Sai Baba is God incarnate, they say. He is an ocean of mercy. He is the embodiment of compassion and love. We recount instances of every such attribute and in the process, we sing his praises. This is the second stage, Kirtan. We are led to a strong desire to visit Puttaparthi someday and have Swami's darshan. The mind fills with Swami. We remember Swami's divine leelas and mahimas, or signs of divinity, and we are suffused with wonderment and anticipation as well as intense pleasure. We dream of Swami while asleep. We think of Swami when awake. This is the third stage, Smaran. Then on one blessed day, we reach Puttaparthi. We go into the audience hall for darshan. Swami moves slowly towards us, radiating flame-colored illumination, and stops right in front of us. We forget ourselves in immense happiness. We salute him in a gesture of obeisance at his lotus feet and touch our eyes with our hands. So blessed. This then is the fourth stage, Padasevan, touching feet. Swami graciously invites us into the interview room. Beaming with pleasure, we troop into the room and sit at his lotus feet. He sits on his throne very close to us. We look at him in unbelieving wonder and rejoice at our good fortune. This is the fifth stage, Bandana, or salutation. We place flowers at the lotus feet of Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai. Bhagavan tells us, Bangaru, I do not want these flowers that fade in no time. What I want is the other flower, your heart. When we hear Swami's mellifluous voice, 1,000 musical instruments sing in our inner consciousness. This is the sixth stage, Archana, or worship. Then Bhagavan casts his cool, refreshing looks at us and asks, smiling enchantingly, Bangaru, what do you want? We reply, Swami, if you are kind enough to allow it, we will stay here serving you. He inquires, what will you do here? We say, we will do whatever you order, Swami. This is the seventh stage, Dasya, or serving. After some conversation, we become more self-assured and bolder. We develop some closeness, friendship with Swami. We tell him about our problems. Swami assures us, Bangaru, why fear when I'm here? I am in your home. I am always with you. I'm ever by your side. You will find me within sight whenever you need me. I will protect you at all times. This close companionship gives us a lot of self-confidence and courage. This is the eighth stage, Sathya, or friendship. After some days, Bhagavan again asks us, what do you want? We have reached where we are able to reply, Swami, I need nothing. I'm completely yours. Use me as your instrument. I'm merely incidental, a mere tool in your hands. This is the ninth stage, Atmanivedan, or surrender. Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai says, first, I will give you whatever you ask for. Later, I make you ask for what I have come to give you. Om Shri Sathya Sai Parabrahmane Namaha. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. End of chapter 18.
Conclusion. The sacred life of Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai Baba, Lord of the universe, incarnation of the universal absolute, embodiment of boundless mercy, succor of the afflicted, is now complete. No, it's never complete. It is continuing. It is unending. May the personification of truth, awareness and bliss confer every blessing on all the worlds. As I pray to him with all my heart and soul, I respectfully offer this Divya Pushtakam, holy book Tapovanam, which reflects Swami's divine glory at his divine lotus feet. Om Sri Sathya Sai Parabrahmane Namaha. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
The Sathya to Sai program is about the early years of Bhagwan's life when he was known as young Sathya. This program allows us to experience how Bhagwan, as a very embodiment of the Absolute, engages in a divine play with his devotees at the human level. This provides us with amazing insights and practical spiritual tools for self-transformation. We will also understand the power of his quote, "My life is my message," as we become aware of the spirit behind every action of his. This will fill us with valuable gems of wisdom. Dear brothers and sisters, this session will give us an elevating experience of a virtual satsang with Bhagwan. Come join us on this exciting journey on 31st of October with an open heart and a receptive mind. With His divine grace, we will leave the session enriched with simple, practical tools for an uplifting spiritual life.
Sairam all. Just a reminder, we are now live on YouTube and Facebook. You can search on YouTube for Sai Organisation of Australia. Please subscribe to the channel and click on the bell icon to receive updates and reminders of our upcoming inspirational programs. On Facebook, please search for Sai Organisation of Australia and like and follow our account. Please visit our website on sai.org.au to keep updated with upcoming programs in the 96 Days devotional offerings, news of our service activities, and inspirational updates.